and laughingly go, we'll make it $25 million.
There's Suge Knight in a courtroom waiting to hear his bail. Not a sentence, bail.
Maybe Judge Fiddler has that much money, but we don't, Judge. $25 million.
The number comes in, and before he can even react, he collapses right there on the floor.
Like an orange jumpsuit here. This is rap mogul Suge Knight. He is
The most feared man in hip-hop history. The man who once controlled an entire industry through fear, unconscious, laid out in front of the world.
catching some of this video. This is raw video inside this Los Angeles courtroom.
And what's crazy work is by the time he hit the floor, he had already lost everything.
And then the next thing I know, she'll fall BK.
I said, well, goddamn, Sugar, you broke? You need some money or something?
For over a decade, he didn't just run hip-hop's most dangerous label. He ran hip-hop itself. Artists signed because they were afraid not to. Executives moved when he said move. The industry didn't negotiate with Suge Knight. It accommodated him.
You got niggas that everybody like and love. Then you got niggas who they don't like but they respect.
This is the story of a man who built an empire out of intimidation and never noticed when the currency ran out.
We'll chase about this city. If you're about LA.
One who had people smacked, beat up, and pissed on.
Oh, when somebody made a mistake, they would have to drink that pee.
Well, that was one method.
Until the world watched after a local barber put the mob boss to sleep.
They called me, I guess, the knockout kids unless they got on the internet.
So if I was knocked out, why they handcuff me?
And after everything failed, he did what most do these days.
Knight says that he does believe that Tupac is alive.
Start up a podcast from jail to push Cap.
And they get all these videos, J-Lo doing this and J-Lo doing that.
So you're going to pay me $100 that Suge has HIV?
We'll give him a couple stacks if I'm wrong.
How would he have gotten it?
This is the Cap story of Suge Knight.
You got Cap in your raps. You got Cap in your raps.
Before Suge Knight was running Death Row, he had already figured something out. He didn't need permission to enter rooms, he just needed leverage. Learning how things work from the outer layer would lead Suge to find his hidden talent. And when I say hidden talent, I mean the kind where people sign things they fully don't intend to honor because the alternative sounds worse. But his biggest accolade will become the one that would change his life for better and worse, Dr. Dre. The former Funktown musician was owed money over the Billboard hit Ice Ice Baby. Vanilla Ice found himself hanging over a balcony to agree to terms. That was only a trial run. The real subscription is when Marion would get Dre out of his deal with Ruthless Records, Eazy-E's label. Suge walked Dre out of there and into Death Row, and the world got the chronic, and everybody celebrated. But here's what the celebration skipped over. Sugar Bear didn't free Dre, he purchased him, with a 30% management clause that he described as lifetime, as in permanent. That's not a music deal, that's a subscription Dre can never cancel, and a number Marion would look to forever collect on.
You got two types of niggas in this industry. You got niggas that everybody like and love. Then you got the niggas who they don't like but they respect. So which one you want in this business?
The business model was simple: success through fear, recruit talent, and if the serenade doesn't come off as a hit, make him drink piss.
Oh, when somebody made a mistake, they would have to drink that pee.
Well, that was one method. Then sit him down in the bathroom. Where's the bucket? You got to drink this, or I'm just going to whoop your ass. For real.
Unsigned talent couldn't even look the wrong way, like two expiring rappers named the George Brothers, who were forced on their knees and pistol whipped for playing with the Sugar Bear's time. While Marion would eventually get only 5 years of probation time, this sentence would prove to be a career ender later on in this story. In the meantime, Marion would go on to execute one of LA's greatest runs, utilizing street tactics such as check-ins to scare the hell out of out-of-town industry heads. Let's be clear, during this era, there was no cap on who Suge Knight was.
They was not scared of Suge Knight.
Suge goes to a nigga's section and snatches a bottle.
They was terrified of Suge Knight.
If you had to go back, the situation with Suge Knight,
You're gonna get me killed.
Right.
I mean, terrified.
I know.
No, to death.
To death.
He was taking his mob-like tactics on the road, challenging an entire coast for having execs dancing in videos.
All in the videos, all on the record, dance.
Making his lifelong rival Sean Diddy Combs.
I'm the executive producer that a comment was made about a little bit earlier.
Marion will become a co-founder of the East Coast-West Coast rivalry. And just like that, Suge wasn't managing artists anymore. He was controlling the entire West Coast, having two of the world's biggest artists, Snoop, and eventually signing the holy grail of hip-hop, Tupac Shakur. Tupac's passion with Suge's violent mob on payroll made a deadly combination. Suge wouldn't do a good job protecting the bag, getting Pac jumped in to become a real-life gang member.
Tupac, he got jumped in when it came to the Bloods?
Oh yeah, he was from the mob. He was M.O.B. You can't say M.O.B. if you ain't M.O.B.
And after signing the most dangerous West Coast artist, MC Hammer, he was looking to make the entire West Coast damn near a no-fly zone for whom he chose, mostly Puffy. But this is where Suge made his biggest mistake. He didn't just build the label, he turned it into a war zone.
What was the last thing that he said to you?
They love me.
Pac gone, Dre gone, Snoop already looking for a way out. And the system holding everything together was already crumbling. Before he died, Tupac helped run Dre out of the building for being gay. Snoop was jealous of Pac. Stories you can hear more about in Snoop's Cap story. Well, Marion couldn't give these situations the attention they needed, forgetting he was on probation, getting in gang fights in casinos. A simple fight that would turn into a 5-year sentence. And this is when the world would begin to discover Suge's little secret. His street resume in LA never held as much weight as it did with the out-of-towners.
Because right now we got a lot of out-of-towners living out here and they ain't saying nothing about it.
And at this point, Sugar Bear had everything: money, power, control, and most importantly, fear.
That fool wanna act up with Britney and act weird about her kids, we'll chase his ass about this city. He'd be about LA.
And this is the part they don't tell you. Marion didn't lose power because he went to jail. He lost power because people stopped being afraid. And once that fear disappears, everything else starts to fall with it.
Suge was guilty by association. He lived there. Suge never hung in the hood banging. Suge ain't never hung in the hood with a pistol.
He ran LA for years based on one resource: money. And when the money began to slow was when Marion would do what many others do in his field: begin to cap.
Knight says that he does believe that Tupac is alive, and that night he was perfectly fine when he last saw him, and then he wasn't.
To keep the money flowing, Marion would fan rumors that Tupac didn't die on September 13th.
Where Tupac might be living if he's really alive.
One thing you gotta realize one thing. For it's my homies and our crew, for it's that red team, ain't no telling around here. We don't do no telling.
All after going on MTV, almost crying.
The last word is always God. But Pac saved my life.
All while knowing Pac was cremated and smoked in a blunt by the Outlaws years ago.
You know, they had his ashes and shit.
You listen to Black Jesus, he said last wishes to smoke my ashes. And whether how serious he was about it, we took the shit serious.
By the time Sugar Bear got out of jail, Snoop had found his own protection with Master P.
Suge Knight recently, he said he used to be a superstar and now he's just a no-limit soldier. What do you say to that?
Nothing. He used to be a CEO, now he's just a hitman.
Living off of dirty contracts and masters he hijacked so he wasn't quite broke yet, but the walls began to close in. No money, no muscle. Suge will begin the cycle of going in and out of jail for violating a probation from 1992. All while Dre would continue on to build one of the greatest labels of his era. Puffy would venture on to sign even more artists, TV shows, liquor brands, and oh yeah, sex parties.
You walk in the streets, you walk into a party, standing in there is Puffy, Dre, Snoop.
Right.
What do you say?
First of all, you know I don't go to those type of parties.
Only thing Suge had left was his reputation, and his attempt to save it would only make it worse. Pac gone, Dre gone, Snoop gone, but we're still death row. Come to LA without approval and pay for it. Along with the Pac is alive cap, he would imply he killed Eazy-E with AIDS, as well as Jay-Z was kidnapped for not checking in.
Yeah. See, if somebody gonna do something about it, see, technology is so high, right? They get blood from somebody with AIDS, and then they shoot you with it.
Oh,
so
that's
the Eazy-E thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Have you ever met him?
I never met him. The only thing I knew about Jay-Z that he came to LA a few times, and Dre and Snoop and Dre told him that when you're on the West Coast, you wrote a song for me, don't worry about nothing. Next thing I know, he was taped up, robbed, and gagged. But
Who, Jay?
yeah, Jay.
Out in LA.
Out in LA.
But the proof was in the pudding. Dre had become richer than Suge at this point, but Sugar Bear would not give up on getting his 30%, a attempting to intimidate both Dre and Eminem in Hawaii and got met with a police escort.
As the plane land, they open the door up, and you got Honolulu police standing right there talking about, hey, y'all got to come with us. And it was about 20 officers.
He would attempt the same with 50 in LA.
50 outside, what's up?
Well, Curtis would approach him and call his bluff. It was official.
And then Suge just walked away. The Mexican looked kind of confused, like they didn't know what was going on.
Knight was no longer the big bad bully we came to know. The world knew that, but perhaps Marion hadn't figured it out.
So far as Eminem checking me, that's a laughing matter.
The cloud formed and a storm was accumulating. In 2005 would bring two separate disasters together to represent the complete dismantling of everything Suge Knight built.
Johnny Gill sucking Sugar Ray Leonard. Yeah, man, you know that?
The courts ordered Suge Knight to pay $107 million to Lydia Harris, ex-wife of convicted drug dealer Harrio, who were secret investors of Death Row, a couple whose contributions to the label had been quietly erased from the narrative for years. Suge doesn't show up to fight the case. The judgment stands, and with it, the legal ownership of Death Row begins to slip through his hands. This would be the defining moment that the levees would break.
Well, why did Suge give you the $1 million? What did he think it was? Was it
a good faith payment? No, a good faith payment because we was going to try to work out some things. And then the next thing I know, Suge filed BK.
Death Row was finished. The courts would now be in control of Death Row until it would eventually be auctioned off. All this in the midst of a new group of OGs rising up, coming for the throne.
Anytime you want to do movies in the hood, just check it in. We can make sure it's done. Movies, videos.
And one in particular just getting released out of jail who had the street rent money couldn't buy. This one in particular will be Big U.
But if you don't check it in,
oh well, just gonna check your ass out.
we gonna check you in, all right?
This is where personal experience comes in handy because I personally witnessed the disrespect.
I seen this nigga run Suge Knight out of Jerry's Deli.
You see, I was the one that took this picture right here.
But I went up there with him to meet Suge Knight maybe about 5-6 times. One time I was up there with you, which is where this picture came from. After I saw how Big U was moving, there was no way I could be afraid of Suge Knight ever again.
Marion will become one of Big U's money grabs.
It probably would never even been a Death Row if I'd have been home.
In the meantime, new faces like Wack would be around Suge to place themselves in position and capitalize. Wack 100 met the game through Suge.
Wack could tell you, bro.
Oh my God.
Because I didn't know. He hopped out the car with Suge, and my interactions with Suge over the years had always been, you don't never know what Suge on.
Yeah, he shake.
You know what I'm saying? So
then, at Kanye West's VMA party in Miami, Marion gets shot. He survives, but what happens next is remarkable.
Yo, that look like Suge, bro.
Suge, whose entire reputation was built on a no-snitching street code, turns around and sues Kanye West for not providing adequate security. There is simply no version of that sentence that works with the boogeyman mythology. The lawsuit gets laughed out of the industry, not because it had no legal basis, but because of what it meant. The man who made fear a business was now asking a court to protect him from his own world.
What you want, homie? You want a now what? Now what the what it do? What it be? West Coast.
Interestingly enough, that still wouldn't be the final assassination of the boogeyman image. That moment would happen on a regular club night in Hollywood by someone no one would assume. Not a gang member, not another mob boss, a barber.
What's your name, homie?
What up, man? This is Greg. They call me, I guess, the knockout kids, unless they got on the internet.
The boogeyman on the pavement outside a club over a money argument with someone from his own circle.
She was a fight, whatever, you know?
You didn't hit nobody with no weapon, nothing like that, right?
It ain't no pipe before.
Suge's team tried to spin it, but the footage existed, and once that footage leaked, the mythology had a crack in it that nothing could repair. How could the man once rumored to have both Pac and Big killed be on the ground with the camera snapping, knocked out unconscious by a barber?
We get into the car, and Suge, he doesn't have a clue where he's at. He's still discombobulated at this point.
Of course, Cat would be included. The streets claim Greg the barber was killed shortly after, only to find out that's opposite of fact.
You know what I mean? I'm at the barbershop where they said I ain't at. I'm still alive when they said I ain't alive.
Not only that, getting knocked out might have been a normality behind the scenes.
So he's insisting that he gets the money then. So then when I said, nah, it's not gonna happen tonight, that's when he popped up, was like, all right, it's on and popping in. He said something about I have to pay a toll when I come to LA and that my mom won't be able to come to LA. And then that's when 2 T's hooked off on him. Homie fell and the gun fell through the floor with it.
You trying to tell me if it's 20-something niggas, just me, 30, 40 police roll up to get me. So if I was knocked out, why they handcuff me? I'm not gonna say he didn't swing on me, but that's nothing.
Suge kept hope alive of becoming the biggest bully again.
Shots rang out inside the club. People scattered.
But in 2014, he would get shot 6 times at a Chris Brown party. He survives again, which at this point seems to be his one remaining superpower. But later on, wait till you see how he handles this situation, because Marion would probably make the worst decision ever in his life, all over 30%.
Suge Knight wasn't no gangster. You get what I'm saying? You see, when the money gone and the adrenaline down, the people that was around him, the killers and all that, they left. That's real dudes know when you don't have that bag, you still got the same army because they know you're going to get in the field and troop like they going to troop.
The Straight Outta Compton biopic is in production. It lights up the entire city of Compton with excitement, and Suge Knight, whose entire financial house is now burning down around him, believes he's owed money from the film, specifically that 30% we've been talking about. He shows up to a location near Tam's Burgers with his grievance fully loaded. Words are exchanged, the situation escalates, and then Suge, in a pickup truck, runs over Terry Carter and Claiborne Sloan. Terry Carter dies. Suge drives away. During the case, Marion would claim his 2014 shooting was a hit placed on him for wanting his 30%. He would provide no evidence for this, and it didn't matter. Once the tapes revealed, Suge went out of his way attempting to kill Bone and would end up killing his own friend Terry Carter. His hand was forced.
I don't know how many people in here, maybe Judge Fiddler has that much money, but we don't, Judge. $25 million.
He pleads no contest to voluntary manslaughter and gets 28 years.
All right, Justin was here at CNN. I want to share some video with you.
That was enough to make a man collapse.
It's like an orange jumpsuit here. This is rap mogul Suge Knight. He is bowled over. He's collapsed in this courtroom. People have...
At his age, Marion would have a good chance of dying in jail. And when he fell in court in front of the world, that was his soul leaving. Well, whatever was left of it. Many after him would come and try to replicate the fear he had over the industry for years.
You can't move throughout the world without somebody being a bad guy. You know what I mean? I'm the blue Suge Knight. I'm this, I'm that.
Eventually, Snoop Dogg would have the opportunity and purchase Death Row Records, where he would try to be the next Suge Knight.
You guys are really accepting Suge Knight paperwork. All that paperwork Suge Knight had in there that you let me see was fraudulent because you told me, and I got the same paperwork.
But Marion wasn't finished. He would do the typical move a few from his cloth would do. From jail, start up his own podcast based on Cap.
And this is Collect Call with my dad, Suge Knight. What you are about to hear is conversations, raw and uncut.
His podcast, Collect Call with Suge Knight, became a whole different kind of platform. And in 2024, right when the entire country was watching federal agents raid Diddy's mansions, Suge started talking.
And they get all these videos, J-Lo doing this and J-Lo doing that.
He claimed the FBI found video recordings at those properties, compromising footage involving Jennifer Lopez from her Diddy era. And according to Suge, the feds didn't just find it and file it. He claims they picked up the phone and called Ben Affleck directly.
I'm quite sure they probably called the FBI, gave that courtesy call of Ben Affleck.
Gave him a courtesy call, sat him down and showed him what was on those tapes.
They gave his ass those tapes. I'm quite sure he can never look at her the same.
He tied it to the 1999 Manhattan nightclub shooting where Shine went to prison, alleging the tapes revealed the gun was Diddy's and that J-Lo's testimony at the time helped put the wrong man away. Jennifer Lopez filed for divorce in August 2024, citing irreconcilable differences.
He done brought all the extra that motherfucker. He won't out.
The FBI had confirmed nothing. He didn't stop there.
I'm the first one ever got people out their contract.
But how do you feel about Snoop owning it now?
Well, I don't know. If he do, I doubt that.
He would issue out cap stories about folks from Snoop Dogg to Ray J.
Hey boy, I ain't never, like I said, I ain't never known him to lie. But at the same time, Puffy and Ray J was living together.
Chances are being taken in ways that nobody can explain.
Ray J, you saying you got my life right. Let me tell you something, little boy.
And guess what? Niggas thought I was talking about Diddy.
Now you playing with my kids and my family. So we gonna play with yours.
Nigga, I'm talking about Suge, bro.
You trying to mess up the money that my family gets.
We used to go to the store and get that nigga like 25 sticks of like butter, parquet butter, the sticks. He used to take them back and he used to shove them up, nigga.
Now I'm gonna sue your little punk ass.
But since you trying to darken my name, Suge, and trying to say some gay shit about me.
The most feared man in hip-hop history is serving 28 years. The men he once pressured are billionaires. The empire he built is owned by someone else he bullied before. He also found out it's quite difficult to outcat those who are free from prison.
So you're gonna pay me $100 that Suge has HIV.
We'll give him a couple stacks if I'm wrong.
How would he have gotten it?
Yeah. Easy thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You claim there's audio of Suge Knight saying Tupac was sexually assaulted?
Yeah, that's a fact.
In prison?
That's a fact.
Maybe Suge Knight didn't lose everything. Maybe there was never anything there to hold. Because fear doesn't build empires. It just delays the moment they fall. And the next generation didn't use fear. They used something even worse. And that story is next. Well, thank you for watching. Please join my Patreon to watch this, Unfiltered, and other exclusive projects that I have there. And please add me on Twitter and Instagram just in case something was to happen to this page, because you know how things can get sometimes. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxy Approved, right? With that water. I'll see you here next time on Moxy Approved.